This episode of MMA Nuts is brought to you by GoDaddy.com, 99cent.com with code MMANUTS99. Save 30% off new orders with code MMANUTS30. $1 per month economy hosting for 1 year with code MMANUTS1H. Linksys.com, awesome Wi-Fi, free 2-day shipping on orders over $100 with code MMA2 at Linksys.com. Fuji Sports, save 15% off with code MMANUTS at Fujisports.com. Tire Buyer, get tires shipped to an installer of your choice. Save 7% off with code MMANUTS7. Defense Soap, used by more champions in more countries than any other brand. Save 15% off with code MMANUTS. Hey fans, this is MMA Nuts, episode 313.
313.
My name is Ingo Weigel.
Matt Griffith, MMA show by my fans, for my fans, rock line between serious and ridiculous. What's going on, Ingo? Should we go right to MMA?
Yes, let's talk about the top story of the week. I think we can all agree.
GSP?
It's got to be GSP.
All right. He's a free agent, is what they're saying, and he's no longer under contract with the UFC. The UFC has responded and said he's still under contract. His attorney said that he basically equated the contract to the 21st century form of slavery and stating that the contract wouldn't hold up in court. So what do you think is going to happen here with GSP? Is he going to fight in the UFC, or is he going to be fighting somewhere else, like Rizin or Bellator?
Well, I forgot. Did you send me that article, or did I just read that? I don't recall. But there was an article written talking about GSP and the state of the UFC and how things are not very happy there, and it would make sense for them to try to make nice with GSP and bring him back, judging by the fact that multiple of their current money earners are kind of like in the unknown territory. You got Jones, you got Rousey, you got GSP, who could potentially come back and make some cash in a time where you might need some. Why would they strong arm him at this point? I don't get it. But it sounds like what you said, basically, hey, they got some contract disputes. He's not willing to fight for what they want him to fight for, and I think that's why you hear all that noise from Dana about you don't want to fight, all this shit.
Yeah.
But what do you think it's going to take for GSP to sign on that dotted line and come back and fight? That's my question.
Well, he said it wasn't 10 million.
Is it more?
No, he said it's less than that. He said those reports aren't
9.5.
true. It's like 9.9 Canadian dollars.
That's actually a lot. I think Canadian dollars probably worth more than US dollars at this point.
Who knows what that fucker's dealing in? I would just pay the man, right?
Rupees?
I don't want to see him fight. I don't care to see him fight, but I don't want to see him get screwed over. And the other side of me wants to see him just take it to court, because Couture just came out recently and said that he spent $500,000 in 13 months to fight to get out of his contract. But think how different the contracts are now, because now you can't have your sponsors. And you have to subject yourself to that USADA drug testing and the whereabouts program. So
yes,
if his attorney, who's really good on all that fucking anti-establishment stuff and union type stuff, thinks that it's a 21st century form of slavery, I want to see that shit get tried out in court. I'm okay.
Details?
Yeah, I'm okay sidelining GSP for another year. Just to have him fight the contract out, because I think that's only good for the rest of the fighters. If he can prove that contract's not valid, then you set up all the other fighters.
So you're saying, Matt, that you don't want to see him come back at this point?
Not really.
And there's really nothing that's going to make him sign on the line, so therefore take it to court?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to cost him some money, but
yeah,
win back your rights. I think that's the other thing. You don't own your likeness. Your likeness is gone in perpetuity.
Well, I wonder at this point if he even cares. It's been, what, 2.5 years?
Something like that. It's over
3.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Does he care? If he wants to fight, great. If he doesn't want to fight, who cares? Does he really care? I mean, I don't see him out there promoting all this crap. Like, I'm assuming he's still doing some things here and there, but probably the kind of guy that he is and the way that he carries himself, I don't get the sense that he's ever was out blowing his cash on useless shit. He probably put it away for a rainy day, and he's probably living well at this point in his Canadian, wherever he lives. I think he lives in Canada, right? So maybe he doesn't need to come back. Maybe he doesn't want to waste the money on trying to fight this thing when it's
but I want him to. He's got the money. He's got the clout. He could actually do some good.
Yeah.
Really push the UFC. Put them in the corner. Don't let the fighter be put in the corner.
Yeah. Nobody puts baby in the corner.
That's right. I want to see it fight out.
Yeah, I think it will be good overall. Him and Jose Aldo can take it to court.
Yeah. And I saw some people were trying to, I think Canadians were trying to get a boycott going for UFC 206 because GSP is not on the card.
Right.
I don't think anybody's gonna. I don't think you need to boycott that card because no one wants to see it anyway.
207's looking better, but 206,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's
not looking good.
It's tough. And going down that line, I want to talk about Daniel Cormier a little bit because he's complaining again. Oh man, without GSP being on the card, it's gonna hurt me so much financially. So I'll ask you the question: is if he's not a draw, Daniel Cormier, should he be even getting pay-per-view money? And does he just get that because he's a champion?
Yes, I think you're guaranteed. I thought I read 2.5% or something like this.
Like $2 a pay-per-view or something. 2.5% might be a lot. I don't know if it works out to the same because I know like when we talk about Eddie Alvarez, right? His is a dollar amount per pay-per-view based on a scale.
Right. Yeah, I thought the 2.5%, for some reason the 2.5% came to mind. But when you think about it, if it's a $50 pay-per-view, it's only like $1 something.
Right.
Right? So he should get it because he's the champ, but he's also proven that he's not a draw.
Right.
So then it goes like, but something of nothing is still nothing, so who cares? Right?
Yeah. Unless you have to hit a base of 300,000.
Right.
But it doesn't sound like they have to hit any kind of base.
Yeah, I think that's the one reason why guys really want that belt who really don't seem to care about it, because there's a big financial injection of cash that comes with carrying that thing all the way around. So, yeah, it's going to hurt Cormier, but dude, man.
I'm sorry. I think he needs to just shut the fuck up because if you're not a draw and you're getting that back-end money, you should be thankful you're getting that back-end money. And be quiet before we take it away. I would take that away from that man.
Yeah.
You're not a draw, and you're complaining that someone's not on the card with you.
No, and I mean there's been articles flying around this week about the UFC having a lot of bad juju in their front offices, and it was actually shown that they laid off about 15% of their staff this week. And I'm curious, your thoughts are going into the end of the year. I know that I think it was last year we were talking about how they were having all these events, right?
Yeah.
We were expecting a sale to come, which it eventually did. But what does this all mean in the grand scheme of things? Like, they're laying people off. Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
Well, the funny thing is the MMA media is just like losing their heads. Like, oh my God, everyone's losing their job. Oh, it feels so bad. This is a normal thing that happens when another company buys another company. I've gone through this. I've seen that. They keep the best of the best and get rid of the rest. It's just how it works. It's a normal part of business.
Put that on like a sticker.
Just call me Chael Sonnen.
You could be like standing there with your arms crossed.
Right. But that's just normal. And I'm sure this other company has a ton of other people, and some of those people are going to absorb some of the other jobs. And if you just spent $4 billion and you come into a company, you're going to want to look to cut as many costs as possible. And fighters next. I think they cut like 13 fighters in this process.
Bigfoot Silva's one of them, yeah.
So that makes total sense from a business standpoint. And
I can see them like, so what exactly do you do here?
Yeah. Well, I talk to the customers or whatever it is.
So the engineers don't have to, right? I'm a people person, damn it.
Like, well, we figured out he literally does nothing.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. So it's totally normal. The one question I have, though, in this whole process is, what does that mean for Matt Hughes and a Chuck Liddell who have these bullshit, whatever their positions are? I think Matt Hughes is in charge of fighter relations, and I don't know what Chuck's in charge of. He just shows up. And he was just doing some crazy karaoke where he was singing Hotel California.
Was it good?
No. And him and I forgot who else was with him. Someone else, Michael Kisea or something. I think those two and someone else was doing it. But anyway, so what do you think? What are the odds of a Matt Hughes or a Chuck Liddell still being employed?
Well, I mean, Chuck Liddell, he's a legend. Hughes is in his own right as well. I think they keep their spots for now. maybe.
What do they do, though? What does Van Hughes do besides watch baseball games on the side of the octagon? That's all I see him do.
Doesn't he shoot like wild animals?
Bang his Bible while he's at it.
And the Bible. He's a Bible thumper, too. He loves his Bible. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying...
well, there is when he's pushing it on everybody.
I agree.
Here's a Bible. Read these 3 verses and then talk to me about it tomorrow. Right. I'm not at Bible camp, Mr. Hughes. I'm at the Tough Show.
That's right.
Trying to learn how to fight.
Yeah, Hughes is a lot less charismatic than Chuck, so I would say he's at first on the chopping block.
He's gone. You, I don't know what the hell you do.
Yeah.
Gone.
But Chuck will stick around. Chuck was always like that guy. I'm not too worried about Chuck.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where do you want to go from here?
Well, there's some other rumors floating around, and I know in the past I had talked about before the sale was happening. I was like, man, it looks like the UFC is trying to run the company into the ground. And then I thought, oh, maybe they'll just start another one. So there's a rumor floating around that maybe the new owners are going to run the UFC into the ground so that the Fertitas can come back and buy it on the cheap.
Why would they do that?
I have no idea. I don't know what the philosophy is behind that, but is there any possibility of that happening? I don't know. It seems like right now the Fertitas kind of cashed out.
Like a money laundering kind of thing?
I don't know if that's what we're talking about.
Maybe they owed a lot
here.
of money to the casino business, and they're like, here's a good way. Buy our business for a lot of money and then sell it back to us for a little bit of money.
Right. Because I've seen this happen before in other industries.
Sure.
What was it? Was that like something similar to Apple? Like they push him out and then he comes back with like 1 million shares or something?
Yeah.
Not the same exact scenario,
Similar.
but you know what I'm saying?
Well, they were bombing and they brought him back in, Steve Jobs back in to rescue them.
Right.
Like multiple times, right? So, it's an interesting idea. I don't know. I'm thinking. I like it.
They come back. We buy it for $2 million. Yeah.
Again.
No, I've seen that again in the business for over
twice.
It's just come and gone. And what did you guys buy it for? Oh, you bought it for $2 million. So we bankrupt this fucker, and then you guys just bought it for $2 million. Okay. And then one of them went to jail for like being involved with one of the largest Ponzi schemes ever. So.
Of course. I don't know, dude. It seems, one thing that I'm not looking forward to is this. We're about to hit the end of the year where a lot of things are going to happen. People are going to disappear. People are going to have less stake in. Joe Rogan's going to do a lot less pay-per-views and things. I'm going to be real curious as far as how am I going to feel about this sport in 6 months, in June of next year versus right now, because the landscape is changing, and not having Joe around. You know how it goes, man. You get one foot out the door, it's easy to pull that other foot out, because you're like, hey, wait a second, this foot feels happy outside this door. I'm going to pull my other one out, and then all of a sudden, no more Joe Rogan. Then what?
Yeah, then the UFCs, you're going to feel real weird and real awkward. If you have a Brian Stan, a Kenny Florian, I mean, even a Dominic Cruz, it's just awkward. You don't have that enthusiasm, and I need the Cormier brings the enthusiasm. I'm okay with him. Frank Mir, whatever happened to Stephan Bonner? Is he still around?
I hear Boss Rutan's looking for a new gig.
How do I say this politely? He doesn't seem to be all there when he's commentating.
I didn't want to be the one to say that.
Yeah, well, like he's phoning it in. He just shows up and what the fuck's going on?
I don't know. Yeah, I would say that that's fairly true.
He's a legend in the sport.
I don't want to
disparage him at all.
But I don't know that he has, like you said, all of his eggs in that basket.
I just feel like he shows up. There's no research.
I'm here, people.
Right. You can do that sometime, but not when you're commentating. I think Rogan's got such a
charisma,
a wealth of knowledge and the charisma that he can just show up and fucking wing it.
Oh yeah. I don't know that has anyone ever asked him that? Does he do it? I think he does do a lot of research.
He has to. Well, he says like every night he's watching fights before he goes to bed. So he's obviously keeping current, and then with the amount of podcasts and fights he's watching, like there's always something fight related going on with that guy.
Yeah, I'm digging it. It's going to be a sad day when Joe's not around. I keep trying to picture what am I going to be watching? What am I going to feel like, if he's not there? And there's so many moments where I remember his reaction more than I remember what actually happened because he's so fucking fired up, and you go, yeah, like, and then he gets excited, and you're like, that guy won, and that's bullshit, and then you watch it back, you're like, whoa, he really swayed my opinion in this fight. Like, it's like with Joe Rogan on mute, this is a whole different fight.
Yes.
You know, so, and that part about it, I like that part about it. I know some people don't, but it'll be interesting. So hopefully they figure it out.
Yeah.
God, things are always changing, Matt.
They are, and we're at that weird point of when we were, July of last year before USADA, before sponsorship, and now we have a sale. We're kind of in this gray area of we don't know what's going to happen going forward with fighters, and now you have Ronda Rousey's coming back at UFC 207.
Supposedly, yes, she's going to be back, looking in good shape. I've seen recent pictures of her. Looking like she's in solid shape. It'll be interesting to see how she performs. Apparently, if she wins, she's gonna fight.
No, she's not.
Cyborg?
Bullshit. I'll go on record and tell you that fight is never gonna happen.
No.
Until I think when Cris Cyborg posted that on her Facebook page, UFC 451 in 2032 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So those are the two bras that'll fight when they're in their 50s.
Yeah. That'll be great.
Yeah,
throwing down, sagging skin.
Seriously, the Ken Shamrock style. But I just, there's way too much risk for Ronda. And, looking at Cyborg's, last fight, she was willing to get caught up in a clinch. So it could go either way. Ronda's got a shot. Just quit ducking the weight and just go up. Who cares? I think Miesha Tate came out again today and said she'll go up to 140 or at least a catch weight and fight Cyborg. Like, let's go up to 145. Why do we have to always make her come down? This is a bigger woman. Let her fight. Let her be big. What's wrong with being big?
Huge. Grow some balls, women's. Misha, think about it. You can eat cupcakes and get all like a little thick.
Right.
So like we like you the way you are to get a little more thick and then be like, damn. Like Gina Carano territory.
Deadpool?
Oh, yeah.
That was super thick.
Some serious thickness.
Or her on, what was it, the American Gladiator show?
Oh, yes.
She was super thick.
Oh, super thick. God.
That's muscle
You're
thick,
derailing my
too.
brain. I'm thinking about other things right now. Not MMA. What's happening?
I don't know.
Got to zone her back in. You had mentioned USADA a minute ago. And
what's going on?
Apparently Jon Jones has proven outside of the court of USADA, the Athletic Commission, that his substance was indeed tainted. And they're going to go back in and have this hearing soon.
Do you know how much that hearing is going to cost him, too?
No.
$55,000 to have this arbitration hearing.
Interesting. To prove that what he took was actually tainted and he had no prior knowledge of that.
Yep.
And it'll be interesting to see if he gets time served and just it's immediately like you're back in service, or there's other stipulations. What do you think's going to happen with this USADA business? Because there's a lot of shaking and moving in the Athletic Commission in Nevada right now, and how's it all going to play out in your opinion?
Well, for John, seeing how you had Yoel Romero and Tim Means both get 6 months for tainted supplement, same thing for John. The question is, how much does being a star or someone that people want to watch fight and one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, how much does that weigh on their decision? I'm thinking 3 months. So it'll work out to be time served. Because we'll see what the difference is here. Because you could miss a Yoel Romero, you can miss a Tim Means. Can you miss a Jon Jones for another 3 months?
Right.
I mean, technically, yes, you can be out for 6 and you'd be all right. But I think he's going to get special treatment.
Yeah, and do you think that the fact that the McGregor thing got such a lot of press and such negative heat is going to affect John in a positive way, because maybe they want to reverse like the public perception of how they are as a commission?
Well, we got two different things going on, because one, we have USADA, and then two, we have the Nevada State Athletic Commission. So the USADA thing is what he's going into arbitration for. I have no idea how Nevada is going to handle this. They should. I almost feel like if USADA says 3 months, Nevada should just step away. We have no idea. They may just say 5 years. Tainted supplement, 5 years.
Definitely.
If you don't come in here and beg forgiveness to the queen.
Suck cocks.
Right.
Lots of cocks.
All of them across the board.
Yeah. I get those two confused. I look at them as almost the same, but not the same.
Right.
USADA, Nevada State Athletic Commission, it's almost like, I feel like they're equal. What one does, the other one does. It'll be interesting if Jon can actually get reinstated by one and doesn't get reinstated by the other. How does that work out?
I don't know. Well, that's the problem with this whole USADA being involved in all this, because now you have another commission. So you have 2 layers of bullshit you got to deal with. If you get through one, who's to say what Nevada's going to do?
Yeah. Was it you who said last show of the show before that you think USADA will get slowly kicked out by the UFC?
I think they have to be.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't they? If I'm the new owners of the UFC, I'll just say, wow, okay, we did this experiment. We proved out there isn't as big of a problem as we thought there was. So we're going to phase out USADA at the end of the year and go back to letting the athletic commissions handle it. Because you got to think from a cost-cutting standpoint, and I'm a businessman. I understand that. And seeing how they laid off everybody,
right now. Yeah.
I got to lay off USADA. I got to save those millions of dollars, because in the long run, it hurts my business. Because I lose my stars. I can't have a Jon Jones out. I can't have a Conor McGregor out if he, God forbid, he tested positive for something. Can't have it. And I can't have the quality of my fights suffering. Quality of the fights has gone down.
Yeah.
And this is what we were talking about when you had mentioned last week. Like, what's going on with the heavyweights? Why are they not as exciting? Why do people not want to watch them? And you know what? I think it's because of USADA. Because remember, before they came in, look at goddamn Uberim, right?
Yes.
Everybody wanted to watch that guy fight.
Oh yeah, he's huge. Well, I was reading this week that Brock, and I saw pictures of him in the wrestling thing. He looks noticeably smaller.
Does he?
Yes, and I'm wondering if this is all in relation to what's happened at the UFC he fought on and all that testing and stuff. And now maybe he's trying to get absolved, so he's being careful. I remember the Brock Lesnar that is, where's that card? That guy up there against Shane Carwin.
Yeah.
The other guy, UFC 100, is fucking huge, dude. Frank Mir literally was like, I gotta get bigger.
And then he got all sauced up to fucking compete, to go meet on meat.
Like deadlifts and drinking protein shakes. He's like, I must get huge. And then he's talking about killing everybody.
I'll kill that guy. Oh, he just lost your broadcasting job. Never again.
No. It's like, whoa, you went too high on you gotta bring that down. Vitor Belfort level for you is no good, Mir. You gotta go down like this too high. And Vitor, right? Yeah, no, that's why, because the heavyweights were always like, okay, here are these huge human beings. They're just crazy cartoon characters, and then he took all the fun out of it. You know?
And then Kane has cardio, and then all of a sudden he doesn't. And is it Mexico? Is it the high altitude?
He's got good boxing now, though. He's good.
Right.
Interesting. They're fucking it all up, Matt.
Well, hopefully the new owners will rein all this shit in and say bye-bye to USADA. And then along the lines of the NSAC, let's talk about this crazy shit. So I can't believe this is happening. So Pat Lundvall, the best commissioner they fucking have.
Yes.
The one who has recommended, lifetime bans for Vanderlei Silva, lifetime ban for Nick Diaz, 5-year suspension for Nick Diaz. I think she was advocating a $300,000 fine for Conor McGregor. Her last day of employment is the end of this month for the Nevada State Athletic Commission. That comes from the governor's office. So my question to you is that because of this Conor McGregor stuff, because it raised so many issues,
probably,
that she no longer has a position there?
Well, yeah, I think that's why we were talking before the show. I think last week I was saying that somebody must know something, because all of a sudden everyone wants to postpone everything. We're going to hold off for a while, and then boom, here she goes, end of month. Convenient timing. I think Nevada is a business. The Athletic Commission, they understand what their priority is, and if someone goes above and beyond and comes in as part of their staff and is like waging like nuclear war, you can't have that, because they have to treat it more. I think that story of like, the dad and the son bull, right? Like, Dad, I'm gonna run down there and fuck one of those whatever, and he's like, no, son, we're gonna stroll down there and we're gonna fuck them all. They gotta take their time. They cannot.
What's this story?
You never heard this story?
No, I like fucking.
It's an Indian thing.
Okay.
I'm fucking it up right now. But it's a dad bull and a son bull, and they're standing at the top of a mountain, and there's all these, I think it was sheep. I don't know. Doesn't matter. You get my point. So, and the son was like, Dad, I'm going to run down there and fuck me one of those. And the dad bull was like, no, son. We're going to stroll down there, and we're going to fuck them all. Saying is, take your time.
Yes.
Don't rush in. Don't get in there and just suck something dry and get the instant gratification. Like, you go in there, you slow roll everybody. You want to get 300 grand out of Conor McGregor? Fine, but you're not going to get any more money out of anybody else. Like, no. And you can't have it where fighters don't want to fight, and this is not just one guy now. It's starting to become a trend in Nevada anymore because they're going, whoa, this athletic commission is crazy. Anything that happens, I'm fucked. I got no, like, this is not even fair. Like, I can't even prove myself innocent. They're just automatically assuming whatever. And it's not just the salary of that fighter. It's everything else that goes along with it. The businesses, the casinos, the hotels. I'm sure the athletic commission is getting a lot of heat from a lot of different people.
If Conor says, I'm never going to fight there again, and he's putting on the biggest gates ever, that might be a problem.
They got a whole country coming to see this fucking guy fight.
Right.
What do you think they're filling up every hotel and casino in Vegas the week of the fights? You think those people don't want that business? No, of course they do. So, and then it's a trickle-down effect, too, with boxing and everything else. So that lady's got to go if she's all crazy like that.
Well, she was the worst. She was the most unreasonable one up there. Some of the other people were like, man, I kind of feel like 25 and 25 is a fair thing. $25,000 fine, 20 hours of community service. And she was the one ramping everything up every time.
Right.
Oh, I don't feel good about this. I feel good about a lifetime ban. He ran away from drug testing. Well, he tested positive for weed. I feel like a lifetime ban is a fair sentence.
For weed, Nick Diaz.
Like, really? Come on, lady.
Yeah, I mean, the NFL is notorious for giving out fines if people don't give a shit about stuff. And you got to make it enough where it's a little uncomfortable, but just make it, it's got to be a slap on the wrist for minor shit. You can't just bring the ban hammer down on people. It's just not fair. So... she's gonna go. Is Keith Kaiser coming back?
Well, I don't know who's gonna come back. That's the question. What if they replace her with someone worse?
Like who?
Frank Mir! I don't know. I mean, that would be awesome if they could have a former fighter be up there.
Why not?
Be like, okay, so this guy just tested positive for steroids. I feel like we need to do a 2-week suspension and a $1,000 fine.
Perfect.
Yeah, everybody cool with that? Yes, sir. Totally cool. Okay, good. Next topic. Move right along.
Yeah.
I hope that happens.
Remains to be seen.
Yeah.
So end of October, and then we have 2 months left in the year. Do they have a replacement? Did they announce?
No one has said anything about that, so kind of. I imagine we'll find out this week.
Lorenzo Fertitas.
He used to work there. He could go right back, you know.
That would be
and
something.
who else came? Did Mark Ratner come from there too?
Yes.
See, we'll get him right back in.
Okay, we covered you saw.
You want to talk about the CTE thing? So, you know, Jordan Parsons was a Bellator fighter, and he just passed away recently. I think it was like a hit-and-run accident. And they had his brain examined afterwards, and they found out he had CTE.
Yes, sir.
And, like, damn, the guy was 25. He had 13 pro fights, 3 amateur fights. And when we're talking about CTE, so everyone understands, it's a degenerative brain disease, and there's no treatment for it. So once you get it, you're gonna start declining mentally, and they don't know over what time frame, but it's some scary shit. And you know,
chronic traumatic encephalopathy.
Yeah,
that's what it's short for.
So now I'm like, so you're talking a 25-year-old with not a ton of fights, like 16 total. Is this something all these other fighters need to be concerned about?
Well, I mean, you've heard guys talk about it. I think Robbie Lawler was most recent about how training has changed so much in the last couple of years because guys aren't doing these wars in the gym anymore. It's just like any other sport. I think the game day isn't the problem. It's what happens to lead up to that. So they're out there sparring multiple times a week, and, you know, shit escalates, and next thing you know, you get your bell rung a few times, and over time, it builds up, and you're doing that week after week after week, and now you add in cutting weight and trying to get ready for a fight and stress, you know, dehydration, starving yourself. Yeah, over time, dude, you just keep repeating the cycle, And if you're doing that to yourself over the long period of time, I don't think you really can understand, like, okay, at one point when I was normal, I was here. Now I'm like here, but to get here, it took a while, and it just feels normal now. But really, like down here, where your fucking mental senses aren't all up to snuff anymore, you know, it just feels normal now. But you're not normal.
No.
And I firmly believe that anybody in a contact sport most likely has some version of this, and they're just on different spectrums of that scale, and it's scary. Because it's not worth it, man, to get your brain scrambled. What was it? One of the who said somebody posted some tweets this week, responses to tweets talking, and some fans are just so like, man, just brutal. Oh, they should get paid more. I don't give a fuck. Like, let them fight. Whatever. I'm like,
I say that, but I'm joking when I say that. I care.
It's crazy, dude, because nobody knows. You know, my concern is the Chuck Liddells, the Vanderlei Silvas, the Chris.
How about a Ken Shamrock?
Ken Shamrock, Chris Lieben, guys who've been in wars, man. Over Diego Sanchez. Who else comes to mind? There's a whole bunch. There's a Leonard Garcia. Dude, those guys cannot
Chris Lido, like the people that would put on fight on ice, they're are willing to just take 5 to land 1, right?
Yep. They're not going to be okay in 10 or 20 years. I firmly believe they won't. And it's only a matter of time when the first one starts hitting, that guy, that, the junior Seau, that somebody went off the deep end, and then you could do and the one thing they need to figure out how to do is how to scan for this shit before people die. Because I think they
you can only check for it after they've died, which is unfortunate.
Yep.
And the problem is, too, like, if you don't have a treatment, so you can't diagnose it early, and even if you could, there's no treatment for it. Unless you just, what are you going to do? Just stop doing what you're doing? If you're a fighter, if you're a football player, whatever the contact sport is, I mean, it's almost going to come down to a numbers thing, and just, unfortunately, I think it's going to take more people to pass away, and then you're going to just have to look at the numbers and say, okay, this guy had 16 fights. Where's the cutoff?
I don't think it's fights. I think most of the damage probably
in the training too, but you can't. How can you weigh the training? Is what I'm trying to say.
No, you can't.
You don't know exactly what these guys have done.
You cannot. And I think it was Carlos Condit who was talking about that in one of the podcasts. He's doing this weird. He's one of the guys.
Touch butt.
Well, that too. But he has this thing where, and some of the other, I think maybe Faber was doing it too. I forgot. They were measuring their response time based on.
Oh, I want to say it was Matt Brown.
Maybe it was him too. Yeah. There was a few guys.
It was like doing some cognitive tests to see what is your reaction time, and when you're coming off a knockout, especially to see, okay, you're not ready yet because you're way slower on this reaction test on the computer or whatever it was.
Yes.
Yep.
So they can judge that. I don't, obviously that's not really judging the trauma that's long term, but the short term trauma, and you mix in performance enhancing drugs. Which boost? I know Matt's happy. Which boost your deficient hormones, which could be caused from this repetitive trauma.
Yeah.
And then that will extend your career, but at the same time extend your trauma. So then it's like diminishing returns. Like at some point, like a Chris Lieben, you run out of juice, man.
Yeah, I think going forward, I think you should just train jiu-jitsu and be Damian Maia. If you want to have a long career after the sport. You want to take less punishment, whatever it was, 13 significant strikes in his last 4 fights.
Yep.
I don't know.
Do you limit the number of knockouts that a guy can have throughout his career before he has to retire himself?
I don't think you can yet, because you gotta figure out how to diagnose it before someone's dead, and that's where they have to get to. And maybe if we start. I think we're at a point where they know this is a problem.
Yes.
So maybe more dollars are going to go into the research on it, because we gotta figure something out. You got to figure out how to diagnose it, and we got to figure out how to treat it, so that people can still play these sports and do what they want to do, and get paid more in process.
Yep.
Because if you're gonna subject yourself to being retarded or whatever you want to call it at some point. Maybe you need to be making $500,000 a fight. There's got to be that trade-off of what is your life worth? is what, because you're basically trading your life at this point.
Yeah. Well, the promotion, unless you're bringing in big dollars, it's not worth much.
No, you're much better off to go to another sport. You know, we've talked about this. It's literally $500,000 is the minimum pay, and goddamn every other sport out there, except for when it comes to fighting. You know, a couple thousand here, a couple thousand there. Like, you kidding me? The amount of time and effort that you need to put in, the training. I mean, we've gone through the costs involved. It's staggering. Like, to try to be an MMA fighter. It is.
We'll see. I think we're gonna 5 to 6 years. We're gonna start seeing some shit.
Yeah. I'm gonna start drooling like all over my face. Oh.
Yeah.
Like, you all right? Just fucking. I wonder if you could just stun me back into shape if I start drooling on myself. He's geeking out again. Get him one.
Yeah.
I don't know. What else you want to talk about?
Well, I got one quick thing.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor recently said if he gets his belts, UFC 205.
Yep.
He will vacate one of his belts.
Which one?
He didn't say, but I would assume it's the lighter weight class one. But he wants that one moment. He wants to have that moment to himself. He wants to be the guy who's hoisting his belts in the cage for a day or two, just to like let him live and bask in that glow, and then he'll let it go. You think that's okay?
I think that's fine, but you really think he's gonna give up a belt? I don't see that. This guy has been fighting to hold this featherweight belt for so long. Dana keeps saying, "Oh, we're gonna strip him of it," and he's like, "No, you're not. No, you're not." And if Conor wants to hold both belts for a year, he will hold both belts for a year. He is in the driver's seat here.
Well, I would agree with you, but I think that one thing that kind of strikes me odd is Jose Aldo was at the UFC headquarters. He was very upset and apparently left in a better mood, saying they weren't close yet. They weren't there yet, but close. So I'm wondering if they kind of made him like realize, listen, whatever happens.
Do you like to walk?
Well,
this is what I feel goes on in the UFC office. Do you like walking?
Yeah.
Do you like to have the use of two legs?
Yeah. How the fuck are you gonna fight with no hands, motherfucker?
Do you know what happens? And they show them some videotapes of like casino when people fuck up and
cut
cheat.
your fucking head in the vice.
This is what happens.
Cattle prod up his ass.
That's how I feel.
Maybe.
Why does everyone change their tune? Because I think Juliana Pena just changed her tune all of a sudden. Says, "Hey, I'm cool. I'll fight people again." Now Jose Aldo, "I'm cool. I'll fight people again." Why is everyone buckling?
They're scared.
The GSP. I still want to fight in the UFC.
Yeah, maybe they're scared. I don't know.
But of what? What's the fear? The not fighting another organization? I mean, that's always an option.
Yeah.
I mean, at least now, we were talking about Bigfoot Silva. Again, another guy probably should stop fighting, but at least I will feel better knowing that that guy can go on TRT or whatever he needs to be on
Bellator
to balance himself out.
Yeah.
Right? I think he's going to Rizin. And speaking of which, Shane Carwin, I think, was tweeting out that he's going to be fighting for Rizin here shortly.
Against who?
A rumor of possibly Fedor.
Whoa.
But I think Carwin said he has a signed contract, willing to fight Fedor, but Fedor hasn't signed it and may not fight again. This is the rumor out there, which would be kind of disappointing.
That's a tough fight for Fedor.
It is. Rough. Who do you favor there?
I like Carwin's chances.
Yeah, I do too.
I really do.
I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, Fedor could dance around for a while and tire the big man out, but I like his chances. If he connects with one, I like his chances.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think he tweeted out a glove that they had to make a fucking super glove for that guy, the 4XL or whatever.
Yeah. Huge hands.
Yeah. I don't think I have that much. I'm just gonna throw a couple. Gegard Mousasi is gonna have a rematch against Uriah Hall. Why?
I don't know. Makes no sense.
Johny Hendricks scheduled to fight Neil Magny next. Said if he loses, that he's done fighting. You believe him?
I do, and I think he should probably do that if that happens.
Well, he's got to make weight, right?
Yeah, well, it's weird because I question that guy's... Like, there's a guy who fell from grace so fast. Like, what the fuck happened?
Again, it's USADA across the board.
Yeah.
I think some people it affects more than a lot of others, right?
Well, if the natural talent level is here, and then the physical aspect is here, and that brings it here, and then you lose that, I think it's a problem. Where as if guys are physically kind of here, and then it brings them above a level, and they go back to even. Now it's manageable.
And even more so on a guy who's not disciplined. Right. And you see that by him not making weight, by not being committed to a diet. Yeah. Oh, I love fucking Baconators or whatever
Who
it is.
doesn't?
Right?
I want a Baconator right now.
Then it probably affects those guys a lot more because you can't slip. If you're on shit, you can slip, you can cheat, you can get away with stuff. Like, oh, I want to fucking give me 3 shakes. I want to be this guy in a Sonic commercial with 17 goddamn milkshakes, right?
There you go.
Like, fuck, you can do all that. I don't know. See Dan Henderson's retirement celebration?
Is he poolside? What's he doing? Oh, shit.
He's got pig roast with the fucking mullet
Dude, his arms are massive. What's going on there?
Well, everybody, even this old guy is like sauced up.
TRT there.
Not good for them. They're doing a big old pig roast.
Yeah, Dan's the man. I would love to hang out with Dan Henderson.
Fuck yeah.
Even if he doesn't wear his teeth.
He got some sort of power tool going to work on a pig.
Nice.
We still need to roast a pig or do something with one.
Fuck a pig?
I'm fine. I think I've done that in college a couple times.
I have not.
Ask the nuts. What single rule has the biggest effect?
Just random question?
In MMA.
Oh. I'm like,
just green lights go, red lights stop. I think that has got a big effect.
What single rule?
Yeah.
Biggest effect. I want to go ahead and say right now it would be the hand thing on the ground. If you can, the game the guys play.
They're changing that. I think it starts 2017.
Okay. I don't like that.
I think no PEDs. I think that's the biggest rule that has the biggest effect.
Okay.
If your goal was to dissuade someone from becoming an MMA fan, which fights would you have them watch?
The worst fights? Excuse me.
Well, I mean, you could go a lot of ways. I mean, you could do, like, if you want to go the beating route, you do the Cris Cyborg versus Jan Finney fight. That's the one that Kim Winslow wouldn't stop, and she should have stopped it, like, 3 rounds in.
Yes.
And just let her girl get beat and beat and beat. Oh, my God.
Gosh,
you could go down the brutal route. We talked before that Pat Smith Scott Morris, where he's like just caves his face in. Any early UFC, pretty much.
Joe Stevenson, BJ Penn.
Yep.
Yeah. The bloody mess.
Like pouring out.
Stefan Struve had a bloody mess fight against. God, I forgot which fight that was.
Oh, that was some pie. Yeah.
He was like messed up. I mean, it was disgusting. Rory McDonald, Robbie Lawler, that 4th round. Robbie was fucked up. And so was Rory, like his
Rory,
face.
Well, then, like, his nose broke the second time.
Disgusting.
I mean, you can go down the list. It depends. Like, do you want to go down, or you go down the John Fitch route and go, God damn, this is boring. I don't ever want to watch this shit again. Like, there's different routes. Or you just show someone grappling all the time.
Ben Askren.
Right. Like, oh man. Yeah. Like, depends. What if the UFC did Michael Bisping versus Nick Diaz next? You think that could fly right now?
Sure.
Because I don't know what you do with Nick Diaz when he comes back.
GSP.
No, I don't even want to see that.
Anderson Silva again.
No, I don't even want to see that.
Well, his options are limited then. What are you going to do with him?
Nothing. Sideline that fucker.
JSN! Oh, wait, no, he left.
Just go fight Bellator. Let's see how that works out. The Jesus at UltraRunner5210 on Twitter asks, what disgruntled UFC fighter has the most legit beef? GSP, Aldo, Cyborg, or Khabib?
Cyborg.
I agree.
Hands down.
Pants down?
If you want.
Okay. Yeah, they won't create a weight class for the woman. They keep just having her fight pies at 140. GSP was champion, been champion. Aldo was champion, is interim champion. Khabib's just fucking injured. He's got no beef. Stay uninjured. Gregory LaFountain asks, this season of Tough has been pretty entertaining. Nothing but finishes so far. I don't believe either one of you are watching the show. You're correct. No. Is there anything Tough can do to get you two watching it again? And what was the last season you two watched completely?
Wow. We talked about this before. We want to do the team concept. I like that.
Celebrity?
Yeah. Celebrity team concept, MMA. But the last season was like, what, 6 or 7? Something like that?
It was the Brock Lesnar, only because Caprito was on. That was the last one that I watched.
Yeah.
It's just, I just can't, I don't have the time. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
It's really a time and my enjoyment of watching the show. And really, of all the seasons, it's like the first show is always the best because it's just fights and no bullshit. And you lose me when we get house bullshit. I have no interest in that. It's like my family trying to watch reality TV. I'm like, just turn this shit off. Why are you watching the Kardashians?
I don't like reality TV.
It's just nonsense. Like, if you're gonna watch something, watch Cupcake Wars. Watch something where you can learn like a skill. Let's watch fucking Treehouse Masters and talk about the treehouse we're gonna build someday. You know.
That is a badass show.
Yes. Zeke Schwab asks, let's say Jon Jones gets exonerated on Halloween. Does the UFC wait on a rematch with Cormier, or do they give him a non-title warm-up match?
Non-title warm-up.
Really?
Yeah.
I think they canceled the other fight.
Really?
I think they scrapped 206. If it was already going to be shit, cancel it. Fuck Canada. That's what the UFC will say. That's not my words. This is the UFC
Fuck
talking.
us? No, fuck you. How you like us now?
Yeah, I can see that happen.
Eat that.
Kyle Schneider asks, he says, Diaz versus Lawler 2. Ponder me the chance of the pro versus con on this happening. I like that. I liked it better when Lawler was champion.
Yeah.
I'm still okay with that fight now. But I don't know if... Well, if I have to do any Nick Diaz fight, I list it in order. I think Michael Bisping is my first choice. I think Robbie Lawler is my second.
Yeah. Third. I don't know.
I don't have anybody else. I don't want to see a fight we've already seen.
No.
Except for the Lawler. Because that was so long ago. I mean, they were both, I don't know, maybe 20s. We're talking, God, I don't even know how many years ago. Might even be 10. Like, long time. Mike Smith Rivera asks, who is the better martial artist, Damian Maia or Jake Shields? And he goes into some detail. Both don't have the greatest striking, but are monsters on the mat. Shields is former Elite XC welterweight champ, Strikeforce middleweight champ, Pan American champ, purple belt and bronze at Abu Dhabi 2005, while Maia won the Pan American Games as black belt, blah, 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 blah. Maia's best wins are annihilations of Condit, Gunnar Nelson, Fitch, Brown, Sonnen, Story, while Shields are Woodley, Henderson, Lawler, Condit, and Okami in the same night, and Damian Maia.
You beat Damian Maia?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I forgot about that.
It was just... I think it was because Damian it's too early in his career, and it might have been a weird weight class thing. I don't remember if he was trying 170.
I don't know. I feel like Damian...
Well, I'll say this. Shields got lucky in that Henderson fight because he almost got killed that first round, remember?
Yes, he did.
And then Henderson was just so gassed out for the rest.
I think he was talking about that fight before, saying that that was like around the TRT days and just didn't have the gas tank because he wasn't on the shit because he was trying to cut weight and all this stuff. And dude, he had like a couple minutes and then it was like, whoa, I'm hanging on for dear life. But he destroyed Shields.
Yeah. And Shields is a scumbag. I'm going to just say this.
Throwing monster cans?
Yeah, no, you see, and he's the one who's starting all the fights, like with Mayhem coming in the cage and like that big brawl with the Diaz's and the Mayhem. And Mayhem almost beat him in that fight. You know, a rear naked choke at the end of the second round when Shields and Mayhem fought, and the only thing that saved them was the bell. So when you talk about it from a martial artist standpoint, who's the humble person,
Damien.
Who's the respected person, Who's the person I would feel comfortable being the UFC welterweight champion of the world. Damien Maya. I'm not welterweight.
You could be
never
that.
be.
You could be.
No, never. Mike Smith Rivera asks, would you rather get hit with a Prime H-bomb or a Prime Mirko head kick?
Gosh.
You're even considering a head kick?
No.
Take the H-bomb, my friend.
I don't know. That's pretty damn close.
No, it's either you get punched or get kicked.
I probably punched.
Yes, and because you're getting kicked by a heavyweight, too.
Oh, yeah, that's the other good point.
You don't want to get kicked.
No.
This would be less impact. All right. Now here come some of my stupid questions. How many Ronda Rouseys would it take to beat Jon Jones?
3.
Ooh. 3. I'm going to go with 5. I feel like the first one's getting knocked the fuck out.
Yeah. That's why I said 3.
You think 2 can beat him then?
Yeah.
Okay. How many Cris Cyborgs would it take to beat Jon Jones?
2.
Ooh. Dirty. So you're saying Cris Cyborg is a better fighter than Ronda Rousey?
I didn't say that.
There you are.
I think
you picked less.
Hey.
1 less. So
MMA
she's 1
math,
better.
Man. Doesn't work.
I would say 4. And then Rodrigo Machado closed out. It's back! # Nuts Rule, # Matt Rape Train, # Ingo Sugar Daddy. Ingo, I want you to close your eyes and imagine this scenario.
All right, hold on. Closing my eyes.
You're walking down the street. Oh, I'm sorry. You're walking down the street, down your house, chilling, when all of a sudden Nick and Nate Diaz, and they appears and look at you and say, 209, motherfucker, and they give you weed. You get very high and continue to walk down the street until Kat Zingano jumps you from behind and whispers in your ear, time to fuck. She throws you to your room, covers herself in baby oil, and jumps in on top of you and mounts you in cowgirl position and starts to fuck you. Right in the corner is Matt Caprito and Brock Lesnar watching everything.
Okay.
After fucking you appears Gina Carano with a huge black strap on and starts fucking you in the ass.
Okay.
My question is,
Wow.
how long would you last with Kat? Where would you come on her? How long would you last with Gina? And finally to Matt, what the fuck would you say while watching all this happen?
I'm gonna go with 1 minute, 3 minutes, and I don't know the answer to the rest.
I would just be clicking my heels going, there's no place like home. There's
Send me
no
home.
place like home.
What are we out here?
There's no place like home.
Close my eyes. Close my eyes.
I don't know. I feel like I just got rape trained on that question.
Yeah, you know what? It was a great dream until that last part. But, you never know. Unless you try something.
Rectal bleeding.
How do you really know how you feel about anything?
I guess you do it until you bleed.
Just bleed, baby.
That's what it's all about. That guy knew. He was ahead of his time.
That's right. Don't judge.
No.
I'm not judging.
Any knowledge?
No.
I don't either.
That's been this
Midnight, we're turning on pumpkins.
That's been this week's edition of MMA Nuts. My name's Ingo Blegold.
Magro, thanks for playing this.
I have no internets right now. Thanks for checking out the show this week. You can support MMA Nuts by working with our sponsors, GoDaddy.com, where you can get 99cent.coms with code MMANUTS99. You can also save 30% off new orders with code MMANUTS30. And lastly, $1 per month economy hosting is back for 1 year with code MMANUTS1H.